What's the best crop in Minecraft? That's right, melons. They're big, they're juicy, they look fantastic. You don't have to replant the seeds after you harvest them, and you can even build with them. And that got me thinking, with something as versatile and as universally accepted as a melon, what would happen if I devoted myself in my Minecraft world to farming them? Well, we're going to find out, and you're going to see how I turn a single melon into all of this. This is my 100 days of farming melons. Day 1. And I've spawned in with a single melon seed to my name. It's all I need. But I don't need that over there. I don't think there'd be an issue. There's only one fundamental rule I set for them, and that's to stay the fuck off my land. Granted, I only appeared here about a minute ago, so they probably don't know, but they'll soon learn. Anyway, the day started with the obligatory generic actions of punching a tree, making a table of crafting, getting a pick, and for the first time ever, a wooden hoe. I've been put on this planet for one reason, to farm melons. This one seed will be the catalyst for generations of melons to come. Right now, I can't do anything more than wait for it to grow, so I'm doing more generic first day stuff, like upgrading to the Stone Age. And then got to work harvesting trees. I go overkill with tree harvesting the first day because I can slap the wood into a furnace to smelt into charcoal. I also made a composter to get bone meal for my singular melon seed. The only compostable item I had was saplings, and they produced nothing, but at least the charcoal paid off. More saplings went into the composter and a piece of bone meal returned. This clip doesn't make me a fake melon farmer. I'm going to need the wheat for animals, it's a necessary evil, and I also need sweet berries, so I won't starve, and any extra I can put into compost. Day 2. What's a melon farmer's biggest fear? Melon bandits. They're a big problem and they like to hide in the shadows, hence why I'm getting rid of trees. If I can see them, I can slay them. From over a stack of saplings, I got 4 bone meal. I couldn't use them on my singular melon seed, it had reached its final growth stage, just need to wait for a melon now. Less trees and more light makes it safer through the night. Harvested what sweet berries I could and replanted. And then I went to check on my melon stalk. Still no melon produced, but it's going to be soon. I can smell it. There was a single piece of wheat, however, the perfect bait for luring cows and sheep back to their new home. I was expecting to see a melon on day 3, but still nothing. I went animal tracking to take my mind off of it, and brought back a few cows. Then went back out for sheep and instead found pumpkins, the lesser version of the melon. I took them with the hope of one day casting them into the fire and destroying them. I gave up on sheep hunting in favour of finding something to eat better than sweet berries. I may not have done much melon farming, but the life of a melon farmer is hard on the stomach. I take that back, melon farming is happening. I harvested my single melon seed with a return of 5 melon slices. They were converted into 5 melon seeds. Oh yeah, now it begins. The next day didn't start well. My computer froze and I lost a few minutes of footage by having to do a hard reset, but you didn't miss much. Just some sweet berry harvesting. You're here for the melon farming, and that's all that matters. I got a further 11 melon slices. That means there's 16 melon plants on the go. The farm is only going to exponentially grow, as well as my power level. And the day that had started kind of shit was actually not too bad. I found a couple of sheep. That was nice. Although the mine entrance didn't go too well, I wanted a cool looking mine entrance, I got this instead. But another couple of melons had grown, that's all that really matters. Once all available melons had been taken care of, I went mining. Day 5 started with curiosity. Was there anything interesting close to the base? A second pillager outpost, that's something. I'd never looted one before, so at this point in the game I didn't realise how ridiculously easy they were to loot. When in doubt, tower up. I was hoping to see a village, but I couldn't see one. No village here either. This is a worrying sign. I want to tower up again, but if these guys spawn and knock me off, I'm gonna die. As annoying as that was, I went into that knowing what potentially lay in store, and the dice roll wasn't in my favour. That's how it is sometimes. I went back for my stuff and double checked the area because before I died I thought I'd glimpsed a village. Yes, looks like I did. I may have died in the process of finding this place, but overall I think I came out a winner. It's exactly what I was looking for. Problem is that it's in a valley. It's going to make transporting villagers back to the base a living nightmare. Normally I make a starter base at the village for convenience. Not this time, the villagers are going to have to be moved to where the melons are. What will I do if the mountain defeats me? Will I risk a more dangerous road? I'll put this out there now, there's no way I'm taking them over the terrain. So be it, we must go through the terrain. And this is what became of my venture, a swift, clean death. The real kick in the teeth was how close I'd landed next to water. Watch it again. Can you believe that? 1 block away from a life preserved. I respawned at the base. I'll head back out tomorrow, there's more melons to farm. The next day I ran back out to the village. It wasn't hard to find, I recognised the terrain. And on a quick tangent, do any of you watching think Minecraft helps hone your spatial memory? I generally think my sense of direction is pretty good thanks to this game. Back where I died, I bridged across the cave without hassle. I'm guessing the skeleton and any other mobs in this abysmal place must have despawned. My stuff hadn't despawned however, but there was nothing valuable so I left it. Later in the day I came across another cave and found my first iron of the world. Day 8. I made it to the other side of the mountain, but the tunnel was only a single block wide, it needed to be 2 blocks wide to fit a boat through. Here is the completed tunnel. Now I'm going to be able to transport villagers back to the base. Or so I thought until I found a problem. After boating a villager through the tunnel, the idea was to get onto this water and boat them round to the base, seeing as my base is next to a large body of water, and I figured they'd be connected. But this stretch of water doesn't head back to the base. It's a dead end. So I'm going to have to make a second tunnel to get the villagers back to the base. When I got to the base, I only had 4 melons waiting to be harvested. But heck, it was still enough to warrant expansion of the farm. I cooked the iron and turned them into some shiny boots. They're Nike Melon Forces if you're interested. The sweet berries had been doing better than my melons. I got a full crop and put a few stacks into the composter for bone meal, and immediately put it to work fast tracking my melon crop. And since I was harvesting everything, I did the wheat too. Don't worry. This beta crop won't get much attention this video. Day 10. There was still work to be done on the second tunnel. Until it was 2 blocks wide, I wouldn't be able to fit a boat. Alright, it's showtime. I'd finished the tunnel. Now all there was left to do was to take the villagers one at a time back to the base. That journey had been the epitome of boring. I'm glad I only need to transport 2 villagers. I wasn't sure where to put this first villager, so I just mined out a small underground alcove to put him out of the way. He seemed to be taking being ripped apart from his community and being held captive against his will personally, because he refused to look at me. All I could think of was how it kind of looked like he had no face. I tried and failed to expand the melon farm. Kept getting attacked by some guy with a trident. See, these are the sorts of melon bandits I told you at the start of the video I need to watch out for. He's nothing but a fake melon enthusiast. Makes me sick to my stomach knowing I can't tend to my melons in peace. Day 11. A fresh day and a fresh prisoner to take back to the base. The route, whilst just as long as the first time, felt shorter. I think it had something to do with being the last villager needed. He also tried to look away from me like the first, but being the authoritarian control freak that I am, I forced prolonged eye contact. The underwater guy with the pitchfork had gone, so I could expand the melon farm in peace. Never mind, the fucking sleep police showed up. Day 12. I'd taken villagers from their homes, but hadn't looted the village's self. And no matter how much village loot sucks, it's still a capital offence not to plunder what's available to plunder. So I took their hay blocks, I harvested their inferior crops, I threw back their inferior crops, I broke and took all of their beds, and I looted their crappy chests. I think the best thing I got was a leather helmet. Not true actually, I captured another villager. While there, might as well. Back at base, I broke all of the boats thinking the villagers would sleep. 2 of them did, but 1 did an instant runner. He put up a fight, all the while spewing nonsensical gibberish about his rights, but I was able to recapture him and take him back to his new home. The defeated villager went to sleep. I'm only watching him because I have suspicion he's faking being asleep and looking for another opportunity to escape. Something about his wide open eyes gave him away. Day 13. Yesterday had me wary of the villagers. They were tricky characters. I made sure there wouldn't be a way to escape. On a lighter note, I heightened the ceiling of the trade cave, that's what I'm calling it by the way, and fed the villagers plentifully to make up for the recent change in scenery, and then selfishly fed my voyeuristic side to watch them breed. And just like that, I had a baby villager. For convenient access to wood, even though I'm next to a forest, I planted a few giant spruces, used bone meal to speed their growth, and spent the night harvesting logs. What a day. The next day I went out to grab dirt to expand the melon farm. The melon farm now had 3 lanes of melons. Of course, it wasn't enough. Would it ever be? Farm expansion would be up for another time, however. It was time for mining. I wanted iron because, let's face it, stone sucks, and I'd like to get an auto farm set up for melons at some point to run alongside my manual farm, and I'm going to need iron for that. I didn't get far, I had forgotten to bring food. Alright, take 2, mining. It didn't take long to find a cave, and rather than grab the ores, I ran around lighting the place up, killing mobs as I went. Once the coast was clear, and I deemed it safe to work, I mined all of the ore blocks. Back up topside, I shoved all iron I'd found in for cooking. Then, of course, I harvested any melons that had grown, and then went back to mining. I'd picked up a decent amount of iron. This time I wanted diamonds, enough for a diamond pick to be able to mine obsidian. I mined into a flooded cave, and there's a lot of ways to get around this. The easiest being to change the direction of my descending staircase, and continue like nothing happened. I opted for the more difficult option of slowly building down through the flooded cave, just so I could keep my staircase in a straight line. There's something about being able to look up from the bottom of your staircase to see the daylight at the top that I kind of like. My efforts paid off, because on the other side of that cave were 2 diamonds. Day 17, my hunt for one more singular diamond took me deeper into the bowels of the earth, but no matter how far down I went, I could still hear the thunder. Lightning better not destroy my melons. Thankfully, I came across no large caves on my descent to the bottom of the world. Strip mining is still my favourite form of mining. Having said that, I found 0 diamonds strip mining. It was only when I came across a cave that I found a couple more. That gave me enough to craft a diamond pick. Job sorted. I don't understand why there's no achievement for obtaining one. Day 18, my head hurt. I'd built a staircase for short people. I turned some lava I'd found into obsidian and mined enough to get a portal. And then I had to take the longest staircase in the world back up to the surface. Even with my leather helmet, I'm going to have a concussion by the time I get to the top. Yeah, my head was dizzy by the end of it, but I was still able to make a nether portal without hassle. And then it was into the nether to mine a bunch of quartz. After the nether trip was done, I had to gather more dirt. Day 19, I had all the resources needed to build an auto farm. I didn't have many resources, so the farm wouldn't be massive, but the beauty is that we can add to it as we go. I'd hoped to get it finished in a single day, but that became no longer a possibility. I tried to hide underwater, but it seems even the ocean isn't safe. In between attacks, I managed to escape to the trade cave and get a good night's sleep. Feeling refreshed, I continued work on the auto farm until I ran out of observers and pistons. And here it is. Don't say anything, it's not finished. Still needs a collection system at the bottom, glass around the entire front of the farm, and the upper layers lit up. But it's another step towards a melon utopia. Automation didn't stop there. I put in an auto composter for bone meal, and then I put all of the melon slices in for composting, which might seem kind of sacrilege, but when you're as one with the melons as myself, you realise it's all part of the melon cycle of life. The next day I left the base to go in search of sand, and disappointingly, the best I could find was this small patch. It was still enough, so I can't complain. Next, I worked on the trade cave. The villagers were quickly outgrowing the place, and I wanted to get job site blocks in place to keep them occupied. I'm kidding, it's for my own self-gain. By the time I put the job site blocks in, the villagers were asleep. So I spent the night harvesting melons, and threw them all into composting. Look, that last lot got me over 2 stacks. Like I said, the melon cycle of life. All throughout yesterday I'd been living with the worry of losing melons at the auto farm with no collection system set up. Now on day 22 I rectified that. Melons fall into the water, get swept into a hopper, get put in a chest. Simple. In the trade cave I traded sticks with our new Fletcher, and had enough emeralds to level the farmer up to journeyman. I could now sell melons for money. Now that is a dangerous temptation, so you know what I did next? Day 23, I was collecting dirt again. Now that we have willing participants who'd like to buy my celestial melons, I needed the dirt to grow the farm size, because, you know, supply and demand. After the farm expansion was done, I used bone meal to fast track as many of the new melons as I could. Oh, and I'd bought a bow and arrows, so never again will I have to run from phantoms. You'll be able to see for yourself if that's the case. They're also great for killing iron golems. Not a pleasant task, but someone's got to do it. The rest of the day was spent collecting wood. The next day I went through 4 iron shovels collecting lots of dirt. It was time to scale up the melon farm again. The more melons we have, the more we can do, because without melons, nothing is possible. This is the expansion plan. No melons have been planted yet, I just wanted you to bask in the impressiveness of the size. Once we've got the melons planted, the farm will have effectively doubled in size. So the next day I planted seeds in the newly expanded part of the farm, and like I'd done before, put all of the melon slices into compost. Remember, it's a return on investment. It wasn't only the melon farm I had to expand, I wish it was, but with our sheep and cows increasing in number, I need more wheat to feed them all. Don't be confused, I've been breeding them off camera. Day 27 I had a brainwave. Why not harvest the kelp from the nearby water and then chuck them into the composting system? Actually, Juice, I think you should make an auto kelp farm for bone mealing. Well, esteemed viewer, that's beyond my power level, so we're doing it this way. With what I've produced so far, bone mealed the shit out of the melons on the farm, until Phantom showed up. Or, I say until Phantom showed up, like they stopped me. They didn't. I stopped them. But seeing as the night was mostly over, I went to sleep so I wouldn't have to see them again for at least 2 or 3 nights. The day of 28 began as all days should, harvesting my sweet melon crop. I decided it was time to properly settle down, to get my own place, to be my own man, to take a step onto the property ladder. And as a first time buyer, I built my own place. Planning permission? I don't need it. Why? You're going to report me for building an unlawful property out of melons? Of course not. Who's going to believe you? No one. Although, having said that, I'm considering reporting myself. What the fuck is this? I've never been as disappointed with something as I am with this. It's like some sort of weird mutated igloo. I'm gonna pretend it doesn't exist. I'm not going to live in it, nor am I going to acknowledge any involvement I had in making it. Day 29, more iron was needed. I'd been making too many iron tools. It didn't take long to find another cave I hadn't explored and collected all the iron I could find. I take back what I said about Minecraft honing my spatial memory. I'd got completely lost and hadn't even gone far from the base. I ended up having to mine to the surface just to get out, and was actually kind of shocked how far from the base I'd actually come. It makes a bit more sense now how I got lost underground. Yeah, I came a lot further than I thought. I need to take that down, whatever it is. I don't know who built it. All the iron from mining went into the furnace, and I finished up the day trading with the farmer and Fletcher. The start of day 31 was getting a toolsmith, and leveling him up all the way until I could buy diamond tools. I've now got unlimited access to better tools. Obviously I'd gotten a diamond axe and the durability was good enough to harvest the entire plot of melons without it breaking. That is huge, an absolute smash banger of a game changer. I got a good amount of melons from that harvest. It would have been more if I'd had silk touch, because I'd actually get the entire melon when broken instead of a few slices, and I need 9 slices to craft the melon. Basically, with a silk touch axe, I'd be getting about 30 to 40% more melons. Well, I remember when this guy was throwing pitchforks at me, but now he's seen the melons, he can't leave. I'm going to call him Mr. M. Elon. The wheat was also due a harvest, and got enough seeds back to fully max out the plot of land. It will no longer be expanded any further. Day 32, I made another couple of animal pens. One of them was an additional sheep pen for sheep of a different wool colour, the other pen for cows. Took down the fence in between, merging them into one larger pen. I'm going to turn the sheep in the new pen into red sheep, so went looking for red flowers to turn into dye. I ended up stumbling across a lush cave not even 100 blocks out, and there was a cyan axolotl, second rarest in the game. Yay for silver medals. I made a temporary swimming pool, and I emphasise on the temporary. It's simply a holding station for this powerful creature until I build something more suitable. Day 33 started in disappointment. Mr. M. Elon had gone missing. Maybe my melons aren't as captivating as I thought. Whether or not that was the reason, it was going to bug me all day. I made a small sugarcane farm to try and take my mind off of things. Then it was into the nether collecting quartz for my auto farm. I found a fortress while there, and I think this might be one of the first times I've turned one down. It's about melons, not game progression. Whatever. I had enough resources to craft enough pistons and observers for 8 additional layers on the farm. I don't have the dirt for it though, so a lot of the day was spent shoveling. But of course I can't do any sort of job that requires me to stay up slightly past sundown before Phantom showed up. And I ran out of arrows. I bought more and killed them. Damn, it was satisfying. But it had put me on edge. Luckily, there was one job that would bring me peace, which of course was ruined. Day 35, I was heading down into the mines to get the last thing I needed, redstone. But then I had an idea. Dangerous, I know. Why would I go mining for the stuff when I could buy it? It's not as if I'm a high spender for this series. My main mission is to harvest melons. So I'm gonna grab blaze rods and get some clerics. Then I can buy all the redstone I want. My search didn't start off well. I almost died to a ghast. I'd like to say that was the worst of it, but it seemed to take a downward spiral. I forgot how much damage magma cubes do when you've got almost no armour. I didn't think he'd do that much damage. I went back, got my stuff, found a couple of blazes that just happened to be spawned near the fortress, killed them, even got lucky with a couple of blaze rods, all without stepping a foot onto the fortress. Day 36, I got my clerics from the brewing stands I made and got my redstone. It probably would have been quicker to mine for the stuff, but now we have easy access to the stuff for the future. Anyway, I was expanding the auto farm to ramp up production, but ended up calling it a day when it began to thunder, scared of a lightning bolt damaging my farm. The next day the thunder had gone, so work continued. It's starting to get to a good size. I'd like it to be larger and eventually have multiple of these on the go, but that's a long way off until I get there, and I need to grab more glass in the meantime. And this monstrosity of a staircase is how I've been getting up and down the farm. Every time the farm gains a layer, I build up the staircase a block or two. I'm not taking it down yet because I know I'm only going to add more layers to this farm, so I'm going to need it. I think this is the first time I've shown the sheep since I brought back those initial 2 near the beginning of the video. As you can see, a lot of breeding has happened between then and now. Day 38, breeding started immediately after breakfast. Forget 9 months, this was 9 seconds until children appeared. Or, as I prefer to say, future farmers. While I waited for the children to grow up, I went out searching for more sand. I found a better place than last time, a small beach with more than enough for what I need. And the rest of the day was spent chopping wood. Day 39, I put glass up around the remainder of the auto farm. Now all melons will be collected. There will be none that escapes me. The next plan was to make 4 librarians, but I only had enough paper to make 3 lecterns. I'll wait until I can get a 4th. It was time to take down this ugly structure that had been around since I got here. I really don't know who made it. Whether or not the new villagers wanted to become farmers, it was happening. I believe in democracy, but there are some things that just shouldn't be voted on. I had to make the trade cave larger to accommodate more job site blocks. With new space came new workers, farmers specifically with a novice level bread trade, because it's easier to level them up. It wasn't without some hiccups. Things got kind of heated when one of the farmers said he liked pumpkins more than melons, so I punched him in the face. I had to buy bread for an extortionate price to make it up to him. I didn't really care, I just didn't want him to affect the other farmers with his bullshit and put their prices up. Pumpkins over melons, are you fucking serious? I left to harvest a few bits of sugarcane to make enough paper to make a 4th lectern. I don't know what it was about tonight, but for some reason there were a lot of mobs about, and they were on the offensive. Day 41, I spent a lot of the day trading with the new farmers, leveling them up until they offered the melon trade and earned my respect. If you're not willing to buy a melon, I consider you less than human, but even then, if you don't have your own melon farm, you're still just an imposter, a fake melon lover. To love the melons is to embrace the melons. And yes, while they may have earned my respect by buying my melons, it doesn't take away from the fact these guys are imposters. They don't love melons like I do. No one does. It was time to step back from the farmers. Now was the turn of the librarians. There's only 4 enchantments I'm after: Mending, Unbreaking 3, Efficiency 5, and Silk Touch. And after re-rolling a lot of trades, I got both Unbreaking 3 and Silk Touch. That's half of the work right there. When the villagers went to sleep, I went to the wheat. Only reason being that I'm going to put it all, seeds included, into the composting system for bone meal. Day 43, I got offered Fortune 3. I was going to turn it down, but then remembered that iron is crucial for my auto melon farm, so I took it. And then abandoned librarian hunting and went exploring for iron. I'm going to need an anvil for putting the enchantments onto my tools, so it was either now or later. I found a second axolotl. This one was pink. I took it. What a win. Back at base, I split the iron between 4 furnaces so it wouldn't take all day to cook. The pink axolotl went in with the first. I admit there's not much room in there, but remember, temporary. Iron cooked, there was enough for an anvil. I bought a second shovel and axe with full durability, then put Fortune 3 onto my diamond pick and Silk Touch and Unbreaking 3 onto my axe. Look at me now. When I harvest a melon, I get the entire melon, and not a few measly slices. In this world, wealth is measured in melons, and I'm getting rich. But librarians only accept emeralds, so I had to trade the melons for the green gemstones first, a preliminary measure in case Efficiency 5 or Mending come up, and I can buy them without having the trade reset. Emeralds in pocket, the hunt began. Efficiency 1 and 3 came up. I refused both. Mending came up, however. Bought 3 of those. The search continued, and I could not for the life of me find an efficiency 5 book before the villagers called it a day, so I went and put mending onto my tools, and spent the night harvesting melons. Day 45 I was determined to get a good efficiency enchantment. Re-rolling trades, efficiency 3 came up 3 separate times. On the third time, I settled for it. It meant I'd have to buy 4 of the books to make one efficiency 5 book, but it is what it is. Efficiency 5 went onto my priority tool, the axe. Now I am nothing short of a force of nature, no melon dare stand in my way, and now I have the ability to insta-break melons, I'm going to massively increase the farm size. It's still in the planning stages, but I think once this is done it's going to triple in size. This is where I want all of the melon lanes to come out to, the old and the new. I'm going to need a lot of dirt. With that in mind, I shoved efficiency 5 onto my diamond shovel, and then went collecting dirt. Like with my axe on melons, now the shovel could insta-break dirt blocks, and it didn't take long until my inventory was packed full. By day 50, I finished placing all of the dirt blocks. There's still a lot to do. I've got to get loads of melons planted and have torches properly placed across the entire farm, but you can clearly see how large the farm was before the expansion versus now. The next phase of the farm was to light the farm properly, like I just said. I'd laid some temporary torches around the farm, but that's where melons are going to be planted, so I'm going to need to move those torches and get them in their proper places. That is a farm properly lit. The only thing left to do is to get the melons planted. I didn't stop to think how long hoeing the ground would take. My time with the hoe lasted all night, and I didn't even get a single seed planted. All of day 52 was devoted to planting melon seeds. I had stacks and stacks of them and didn't get through them all. It spilled over into the next day. It was a pain to get them all planted, but this is a testament to how good melons are. Once they're planted, I'll never have to replant again. The stalks will continue to produce melons infinitely. Here is the fully finished farm in all its glory. I can taste least the awe and admiration you have for me at this moment. It's irrevocably palpable. Unfortunately, I don't have the bone meal required to fast track the growth of all of them, so I'm gonna have to wait for them to grow naturally. I've got other things I can do in the meantime. I'm trying to regularly shear the red sheep. I'd like to make a house, and a design I have in mind will require red blocks, so I'm going to use red wool for it. Villagers are actually so handy. I can make do without an XP farm and trade enough times to repair my tools. My shovel was the priority after all the dirt I'd collected for the melon farm. While there, I leveled one of the librarians up to master level. He now sold name tags. I needed one for an iron farm. The rest of the materials I needed for an iron farm I gathered throughout day 54. Momentum was starting to kick in. Not even phantoms could put a downer on things. This was everything needed to make the iron farm itself. I didn't realise at this point, but there were other things, while not part of the farm, I actually still needed. So I got to work on the farm. It's a simple design by Shokercraft, and it works flawlessly. The best part about it is how easy it is to make, and it was going well until I realised I needed villagers, and have no way of getting them from the trade cave up to the iron farm. So I bought a second pick from the toolsmith, put silk touch onto it, and went into the nether looking for gold. The things needed that I'd forgotten about with things like rails, powered rails, redstone torches and mine carts. You know, items for moving villagers. Powered rails need gold, hence me being in the nether. The gold nugget ore went into the furnace, and while it cooked I went into the trade cave and threw bread at the villagers. Currently I have 0 spare jobless villagers to put into the iron farm. This sweet summer child has no idea that his destiny is to spend his limited life trapped in a box. I had enough iron on me to craft the 3 mine carts needed, but not enough to make the amount of rails needed to get the villagers from where they are in the trade cave up to the iron farm. It's crazy how much iron I'm going to have to get to build the farm that will produce the same material. I sacrificed 6 of the iron I'd found to craft a couple of buckets. There were a couple of axolotls, one yellow, one brown. Day 57 the new axolotls went into the pond, if you can call it that. The iron I used to make rails and created a track that would transport the villagers from underground all the way up into the iron farm. I found the best way to capture individual villagers from a large group is to do it at night when they're sleeping and throw them out of their bed one by one, capturing them in boats. Getting them into minecarts didn't prove easy, not when, like this guy, they refused to go in. I eventually won the fight and immediately beheaded him. Using melon infused muscle strength, I sent the villager on his way at the same time as a zombie infiltrated the operation. So I saw the villager leave, but I didn't see why he'd come back. My guess is probably not enough juice. My second attempt went better. He made it to the surface but didn't have the gas to get up to the farm. The third attempt had more powered rails in place, so I thought surely he'd make it to the farm. Like almost. Almost. The next day was a fresh attempt. I'd added more powered rails and the villager made it into the iron farm without a hitch. So did the second, and so did the third, which I almost didn't get to witness because a wandering trader got in the way. I may have been slightly annoyed about that. Next stage, trap a zombie. Instead, I got phantoms. Day 59, I couldn't continue with the iron farm until I had a zombie, so I'd have to wait until night. When night did come around, I found and lured a zombie up to the melon farm. The villagers had spawned a golem during the day. The farm wasn't operational yet, so it was my duty to despawn the golem. The rest of the night I worked on finishing the farm. The iron farm is fully operational. Golems spawn, golems burn, golems die, I get iron. What a perfect cycle of nature. And here's another perfect cycle of nature. Melons naturally growing. Damn, those melons look good. I put efficiency 5 onto my pickaxe. It was the last of the big 3 tools to get it. And then went off to farm the grown melons. There were so many of them and I loved every second of it. I've often heard people say when you have a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Now I fully understand. With a lot more melons at my disposal, I got to work on making a better home for the axolotls. Don't act surprised at my altruism. I told you I was going to build a better home for them. I often have trouble filling and leveling a large area with water, but I hear kelp can turn flowing water into source blocks. Although when I came to fill the pool with buckets, it looked like I wasn't going to need the kelp. During the process, I unintentionally created what looked to be a waved pool. I'm showing you because it looks cool. I didn't keep it. In my opinion, the pool was missing a centerpiece, something to make it seem less bare, because, let's be honest, it's nothing impressive by itself. With something, say, a custom melon tree in the middle, that's a different story. After getting the shape of the tree and putting in the melon leaves, I came back down to look at my work. It was hard not to be underwhelmed. It looked weak and fragile. I think it's because the clumps of melon leaves need to be larger. At the moment, it looks grossly disproportionate. One clump increased in size, that looks better. I'm confident once they've all had their size increased, the tree will look good. The only reason I came down from my tree was to kill a zombie, and somehow I've got mobbed by a group of about 10. They're obviously jealous of my melons. It's pathetic, really. I finished the tree and it looked a lot better, much more proportionate. Fun fact, this was the first custom tree I've ever built in Minecraft. Wow, that was fun. Finally, the axolotls were transferred from their temporary holding station into the pool of sacred melons. They say if you drink this special water, you get polio. Next, add layers to the auto farm. If I have enough iron to spare, that is. Yeah, I definitely do. With iron and redstone I could make pistons and observers. Early on day 64 I waited for the villagers to get up and reset their trades so I could sell melons and buy more redstone. I needed more observers. The trading gave me enough redstone to make the remaining 33 observers needed. I'm collecting deep slate as it was the main building block I'd used for my melon auto farm. Not that it matters, I plan to cover them all up once the farm is finished, so I could have mined anything. Though, diamonds are always a bonus, so it was actually a good idea. A complete tangent, if you look hard enough at this staircase and ignore the position of the torches, it kind of looks like I'm going down instead of up. All of the redstone I'd bought I'd used to craft observers, but I needed more to operate the circuits of the auto farm and don't have enough money to buy more redstone, so a lot of these melons are going to be sold for the money to buy that redstone that I need. The next day I bought the redstone and now had enough resources to double the farm in size. It's currently 11 layers, and after I'm done it will be an impressive 22 layers. What's that? You want to make meaningful and fulfilling progress in the game? I don't think so. I can't be bothered with this shit. I'm going to bed. For the next couple of days all I did was work on the melon farm, and because I'd slept I didn't have to look over my shoulder every couple of minutes to see if a rogue phantom was flying down to irritate me. By day 68 the farm had doubled in size, which meant double the output. I didn't have the glass to build up around the front of the farm, so I had to leave the base to grab sand. Look how giant my dirt staircase had gotten for getting up and down the farm. I'd been using up so much dirt on this alone. What an eyesore. It's good to finally be taking it down. I've been waiting all this time to do it, and man, it feels satisfying. Surely the output of the farm now deserved a second double chest put into the collection system. I thought so I put one in. The sand had finished cooking and I added it to the front of the farm to prevent melons falling out of the collection zone. One melon slice lost is like a lost child. While up there I'd noticed a couple of the melons hadn't triggered the pistons to go off. It was a minor redstone problem that I could fix. I don't know the hourly rates, but the farm is finished. For now. It's a nice supporting source of melons to run alongside my manual farm. Maybe one day auto farms will be the dominant way I collect melons, but for now it is what it is. Remember when I said it didn't matter about choosing deep slate blocks for the main building block of the farm? This is why I'm covering the back in melons. It's another way to flex how many melons I actually have, but I can only get so far. Yes, you guessed right, phantoms. I don't want to get knocked off the side every couple of minutes, so I had to call it a day. I had a feeling I wouldn't have enough melons, and I'm about a stack's worth short of finishing. There we go, finished. That sickly lime colour looks marvellous. I couldn't have asked for a better block. I didn't do much for the rest of the day. I harvested the giant spruces to get rid of them rather than for the wood, and expanded the red sheep pen to get larger numbers. Day 71 was the day I took on a project I naively thought would only take up about the next 10 days or so. You might have heard me refer to a concept here and there known as Melon Kingdom. It's a childhood dream of mine, a place where melons and melon farmers alike can live in harmony. Ever since I was 3 years old, I thought maybe one day I'd go there, not that I would be the one to build the place. That's how it is sometimes. It is what it is. So, right now I'm landscaping, flattening the terrain to turn this entire area into some sort of plaza/square with a melon tree and axolotl pool at the very centre. Like I just mentioned, I naively thought it wouldn't take that long. Having a good diamond tools had gone to my head, but I had seriously underestimated the amount of work involved. If it's anything like this, I think half of the work is just going to be fighting off zombies. Day 72, I'd figured out how large the plaza was going to be. Before I work any more on flattening the land, I wanted to get rid of the trees while I could still reach them, but I was cheated out of a day by thunder. Too scared lightning would destroy blocks on either my auto melon farm or my iron farm. With the thunder gone, I got back to work removing trees. Unfortunately, when it came to landscaping, I wouldn't be able to insta-break the stone blocks, and it became the reason why this project took so bloody long. The simple answer would be to get a beacon, but I'm too far away from getting a beacon and finishing this plaza project by the time these 100 days are up, so all I could do was put my head down and work. It was slow work, and then pillagers showed up. I had enough iron to armour the fuck up and head into combat, so I did just that, but they'd gone when I'd returned, no doubt scared of my omnipotent melon prowess that would surely crush them so fully and utterly into oblivion that their feeble minds couldn't comprehend the magnitude of the danger they faced, but their minds on a subconscious level instinctively knew the horror they faced if they were to engage in combat, and so had instantaneously fired neurons at an obliterating speed inside of their tiny brains to force their small blocky bodies into running for their lives, and yet even then they had maybe a 0.00069% chance of survival, dependent entirely on whether or not I would choose to pursue their fleeting challenge before they opted for retreat. Because to me the die had been cast, the ball had been thrown into my court, they had entered into my territory, my place of solace and peace. Regardless if they knew or not, they had violated one of the fundamental rules I had in place, to keep the fuck off my land. And so when they'd looked at me with their challenging eyes and I'd returned their stare, despite them knowing in that instance that they had royally fucked up and every fibre of my being was willing me, begging me even, to take them out, to rebalance the metaphysical reality of cause and effect, to unleash the monster residing deep within inside me, I chose another path, another option. It was the 0.00069% follow-through action that would allow their safe escape with their lives intact, and that was for me to continue work mining stone and forget all about it. And that continued into day 75, mining lots of stone, though I did stop briefly out of a suspicion the collection chests at the auto farm would be mostly full. They were completely full, so I emptied them out and converted them into melon blocks. I got 13 stacks of melons from those melon slices, all melons that had been building up idly while I did other things. Then I went back to work. The next day I was still working. I'm not getting much sleep nowadays, not with my focus on getting the project done by the time 100 days roll around. I was quickly realising that it wasn't going to take the 10 days I had originally envisioned. While working, I kept a very careful eye on my pickaxe, pushing its durability to the brink without breaking it. Not like my hardcore world where I have a lot of backup gigapicks waiting in the wings. I only have this one, and then I have to spend time, money and melons trading to repair it. I'm also still getting a lot of zombie visitors. Now that I'd gotten rid of a lot of trees, they could see me from further away. I went for a change on day 77, unwinding with some insta-breaking of dirt. Damn, it was so much nicer to break. Sadly, that soon came to an end, and I ended up uncovering a lot of stone. A lot more of the stuff than I'd feared. Back to trading to repair my shovel, I've included a timer showing how long it takes. It's actually pretty fast to say I'm doing it through trading. The rest of the day I went back to tackling the stone, but then switched back to shoveling dirt the next day. I wanted to uncover all of the stone I'd have to remove, a mental gauge of how much work was going to be involved. As you can see, there's a lot of stone to remove, and I've got to remove 4 layers from most of this area, and I'm going to show you again the speed I have to go at. Day 79, I hadn't covered the entire area with torches, so when the sun was up I focused on the part without torchlight, and then during the night I went over to where the torches were and worked on them. Unfortunately I had to call it an early night when the thunder rode in again. I should make lightning rods. I'm going to fast track days 80 to 87 since each day was a carbon copy of the next. I just cleared out blocks to flatten the place out. I don't even think I had anything on in the background. No YouTube, no Twitch, nothing to get me through. I was looking at the screen undistracted for the entire time. Sounds mentally exhausting, but weirdly I was in the zone, or as productivity gurus would say, the flow state. After unwinding from my prolific surge of activity, here's where I'm up to. As you can see, I'm almost done with landscaping. I've taken thousands of blocks out. Now I've just got to remove one more layer, then I can put in a block of my own choice. You can probably already guess what it's going to be. On the plus, even though this has taken up a shit ton of work, it looks to be coming to an end, and I'm fairly confident I'm going to get it done by day 100. The final layer, although it consisted of a lot of blocks, it felt good to remove. It was the final hurdle of this stage of the project, but it wasn't going to get done in a single day. I'd hoped to get it all removed by the next day, but 2 minutes into the day and it started thundering. This is literally daylight robbery. Thunder gone, I continued with the final layer. There was a skeleton horse that must have spawned in during the thunder. If I went near it, it would probably triple in number. Well, it would triple in number with skeletons on their back, and they would cause me some issues. So I just kind of shot it from afar. Back to work. Alright, a quick update. I've removed all of the stone and stone related blocks from the area that need removing. The only blocks that remain are blocks I can insta break with a shovel, things like grass, dirt, gravel. It shouldn't take that long. It's done. The area is completely flattened. All layers that needed to come out have come out. It was a long time ago, but thinking back to what this place looked like on day one, it's unrecognisable. Maybe I should go into landscape gardening. What's that? You want a water feature? How about a melon patch? What's that? You want a garden pathway? How about an automated melon farm? I would rock people's worlds. Anyway, now that all the blocks were removed that I'd wanted to remove, I now wanted to add a layer back in consisting of melons. And from my experience removing all of those blocks, I know it's going to take thousands of melons to accomplish. Stocked up on melons, I made a start. Day 93, I outlined the entire perimeter of the area I'm filling in. This is that perimeter. It took a lot more melons than I thought just to do this, and I'm going to need a lot more. More than what I had on me. Still, I had enough to continue placing melons for the remainder of the day, so that's what I did. But it was inevitable they would only last so long. Here's the progress so far. If you're wondering why I'm filling the area in with strips spaced apart like this, it's so that it looks like I've done more than I have. I hope trading doesn't come back to haunt me. At the moment I have enough money to buy things to repair my axe to get the XP, but when I run out I'm going to need to sell melons to get XP, and I sort of need all the melons I can get my hands on. Plus I'm conscious about how little time I have left. And it didn't help that when I was melon harvesting, a good percentage of the melons hadn't grown because there hadn't been much time passed between placing all of the melons and the need to harvest more. Catch 22, I needed the melons, there was nothing I could do. Day 95, I continued placing the melon blocks in strips across the area. Then I lit the entire area up so I wouldn't have to deal with mob spawns. They slow progress considerably. I mean, what do they get out of it? What is it about my appearance that drives them into enough of a frenzy that they want to kill me? Torches don't stop all mobs. Phantoms were still able to show up, and of course they did. I tried to put up with them because I've got 5 days left, and am now very doubtful I'm going to get everything done in time, but it didn't make it any easier. If I could remove any mob in the game, it would 100% be these things. 100%. Another snag came up when one of the farmers pushed through the gate. I bet it was the same villager who tried escaping back on day 12. What a piece of work. All I ask is he spend the rest of his days underground, in a dingy, cramped cave working for my personal gain. Is that really too much to ask? I didn't have the time to deal with his shit, so I left him to his own devices. I hope he gets blown up by a creeper. Harsh, maybe, but that's the day-to-day reality of a melon farmer. It's similar to the cutthroat world of ice cream drivers. I tried to put him out of my mind, but it didn't help that he made it up to the surface and gallivanted his freedom in my face. He's lucky I don't have time for his antics. Progress report, I've maybe filled in a fifth, maybe a sixth of the entire area. It's starting to look cool. And update on the farmer. He'd gotten himself stuck in the sacred pool of the melon tree and the melon sages, and now he's untouchable. I'm not worthy of getting him out, because if he's been accepted by the sages, then there's nothing I can do. Maybe this was his destiny all along. At this point I was about 88.7% recurring confident that I wouldn't get the project finished before these 100 days were up, but it wasn't going to stop me from trying. And to think, I thought it was only going to be a 10-day job, but I was surprised to find when I'd run out of melons I was about 40% of the way through. It gave me hope. The auto farm had almost filled up, converted them into blocks, and unfortunately had to sell a lot of them to the farmers to repair my axe. I ended up not having to sell them all, so went back to placing them, only for a short amount of time. I didn't have that many left over. I am burning through melons at an unprecedented rate. They're not designed to be abused like this. Day 99, and I am close to finishing, but it's not going to be close enough to get this finished by tomorrow. I gave every ounce of energy I could to the farming and managed to increase my top speed by 0.5%. It may not sound like a lot, because it's not. The time frame in between me placing melons and harvesting the next crop is getting shorter and shorter, meaning I'm getting less melons with each passing harvest. So it didn't take long to run out of melons and have to farm more, but as you can see, I haven't given the melons enough time to grow. I'm getting, what, 40 or 50% of what I should be getting? It's ridiculous. And then I went to sleep. For someone who's rushing to get the project done on time, sleeping doesn't seem like a good idea. But it's rained so much over these last 99 days, and I wanted sunshine for day 100. Is that too much to ask? When I ran out of melons, I called it a day on the project. It's apparent I'm not going to get it all finished, so no point working right to the end. I'd say I had, I don't know, 20 or 30 stacks of melons to go. If I had 2 more days, I would say this would be done. It's still a W in a lot of ways. This place is completely transformed from what it was, and it looks, I think it looks really cool. But for the rest of the day, I was kind of uncertain what to do. I didn't really have anything else planned, so I explored the pillager tower nearby. I'd been staying away because I thought it would mean certain death, but actually, getting inside was so fucking easy. The chest at the top had an infinity book and a goat's horn. I sounded it for the Melon Kingdom, which I could see from where I stood. From this distance, it looks so fucking cool. There wasn't anything left to do, so I ran back to the base. The farmer was still in the pool. I don't know if it's just me, but he looks kind of different, wiser, but maybe that's just because all his skin is shriveled up like a prune from being in the water for too long. And that is the end of it. That was 100 days of melon farming. Originally, I'd planned only to do 100 days of this, but I'm actually considering going to 200 days and beyond. I've just got so much left I'd like to do. Let me know in the comments if you want this continued, because if it is, then that's great. If it's not, to be fair, I'm probably still going to do it. Also, I've got some news to anyone who's made it this far, which if you have, like, massive thanks. But I'm set up a Patreon account where you can get content intended for YouTube a week before it drops here. So if you do want early access, link is in the description. If not, the content's going to make it onto YouTube like a week later where you can watch it for free, so don't feel obliged. But if you do want that early access, then yeah, sure, go ahead, go onto it. Also, since my last video, we've reached over 1,000 subscribers. What an insane number. In fact, I think as I'm editing this, it's like 1,500. It's really, really cool to see people enjoying the content. Honestly, I never thought I'd get this big, and it's not very big comparatively to a lot of YouTubers, especially to other Minecraft YouTubers, but it's cool. It's really cool to see that people enjoy the content. Yeah, so if you are one of those people, like, thanks for watching, thanks for giving a like and commenting. It means a lot. Yeah, so I think that's going to be it. Alright, bye.